Hello, it's a new year and this is the first edition of Politicos on Citi TV. And what a brilliant way to start than to see what the government, the new Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government has as far as running this country fiscally is concerned. Today, the budget for 2017 has been presented. It has been named variously. We'll find out on Politicos what the takeaways are and what the minority think of this budget presented by the new Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu, and so for Politicos today, we are going to analyze the budgets presented by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta. In more than 3 hours or so, he delivered to Parliament what they have described as the Asempa budget, or the budget of truth. And a lot of highlights have been presented there. The manifesto promises of the NPP, most of them have been captured. The issue having to do with free SHS and so on. We have seen that the abolition on a number of taxes, 7 or so of them, have been abolished. The minority, however, is not very enthused. A former minister for Agric, former minister for Deputy Finance under the NDC administration that was just in office until December 2007. He was also previously minister for Sports Transport. The Honorable Fifi Fiavi Kwete is a K2 South member of Parliament on the ticket of the NDC. You're welcome to Politicos.
Thank you very much.
When the budget was being presented, your side held a placard that suggested it was a 419 budget. What does that mean? You mean we're being tricked as Ghanaians?
Yeah, what it means, for example, is that some of the most important promises, obviously, were the finance minister was running away from them. One of the most notable, for example, is the abolition of the energy sector levy. He obviously has run away from it.
The ESLA.
ESLA. He obviously has run away from reducing corporate income tax from 25% to 20%. And that speaks volume, because this is a government that claims that it really is for private sector. And the most significant thing you can do, as you claim, is to reduce the corporate income tax. Obviously, they run away from it. Even in terms of the free SHS, it's pretty obvious from the indications we are picking that it's not a comprehensive thing they promise. They actually are doing what you call very selective, by going maybe for those who are entering. When you promise the country that when you come, it will be free for all students at the secondary level. Now, so these are just a few of the significant things that the finance minister obviously has run away from. And that for us shows that this government really is not being genuine.
On the issue of free SHS, you have to have a start of year. You cannot just join midstream and begin implementing free senior high school. It is not fair that they start with the impending academic year.
No. When you say, for example, that you want to make sure you alleviate the hardship on the parents of Ghana, what it means is that if, for example, I am a parent and I have a child who is in the second year, you want to alleviate my hardship. So in that academic year that you are starting, everyone who is in secondary school needs to have that alleviation. You don't go and make a discrimination and ensure that the majority, because really that's what it means, that at that particular year, if let's say there are, let's assume 1.2 million, let's say in the secondary school, you are just going to go for maybe a quarter of them and take care of that quarter and leave the remaining 3/4 in the hardship. You don't do that when you make a major promise.
But what matters is that they have said they would implement free SHS, and they are going to start. They have a 4-year mandate.
They said they would do a comprehensive free education, meaning anybody who is at the secondary level would benefit from it. But you don't come. It's not about start for. You need to be clear what it is you will say. If you wanted, we were clear about free SHS. So we said we would do a progressive free education at the secondary level. Clear. That's what a government that is candid and wants to tell the truth does. You don't go and create impression to the parents who are in Ghana that when you come, you are going to make sure every one of them whose children are in the secondary school, they are going to be literally helped in terms of not paying secondary school fees. And then you come and only cater for those who are entering. You don't do that.
Before your party came into office in 2009, you promised that you're going to give us one-term premium for NHIS. When you came and you reviewed the books, you realized that this was impossible or implausible at the time. And so you decided to review it and deal with it the way you can. Do you not think it's a similar situation?
So why don't they have the candor and the courage to tell the country that's exactly what it is? That the promises you made, in the first place, you did not even make them based on sound understanding of the economy. Because then again, we are dealing with people who, throughout the campaign, told us that they knew how terrible the economy was. And I found it quite even interesting that even though they said all that about the economy, today, the finance minister, admitted that we left the highest gross reserves in the history of our country. $6.2 billion reserves is what we left, which can cover 3.5 months of cover. Of import into our country. The same finance minister admitted exactly what was happening by way of the depreciation of the currency, that we actually had a stable, relatively stable currency. So you can see that in spite of all the things they say during the campaign, the reality is dawning on them, and that reality is that the economy was nowhere as bad as they claim it was.
Let me read for you some realities that he presented. He said 1% taxes on special import levy is going to be abolished. The Kayaye market tolls would be abolished. They talk about 17.5 VAT NHIL on selected imported medicines that are not produced in Ghana should be abolished. They are going to abolish that 17.5 also on domestic airline ticketing, and that's your ministry previously, transport, has been abolished. 5% VAT on real estate. All of these are going to be abolished, and duty on imported spare parts for the persons at Abosoka and Kokompe, and maybe in the Swami magazine area. This should be welcome news for them. You cannot describe this budget as a 419.
You know, there is something you call running away from the camel and taking care of the insects. What it means is this: if there are big things that you need to deal with, you can run away from the big thing and deal away with the insignificant one in order to deceive the people that, you know what, I've really done something for you. Listen, put all those ones that you mentioned together. If you add them in terms of value, they don't even amount to the reduction of corporate income tax from 25 to 20, let alone anywhere near the energy sector levy. So running away, no, they never said progressive. He mentioned to AGI and told AGI that I am going to abolish the energy sector levy. He told the country that he was going to reduce corporate income tax from 25 to 20. These are explicit, these are clear statements that you make. You don't come and look for example, a reduction of levies that if you put them together, amount to very little. That's like deceiving the country. It's like coming and telling you now, oh, you know, I've done something for you. Meanwhile, your major wound is there. So he's come to treat a little one in order to make you feel as if, well, I've done something about it. That is what you call subterfuge. And that's why 419 would appropriately
You see the presentation as subterfuge. In your special ministry, Agric ministry, which you once headed, you also headed Agric ministry previously, which hasn't performed creditably under your administration.
Whoever said so?
Which your government at the time rejected based on the figures that it made subsequently.
Yeah.
Secondly, on transport, we have seen the construction of rail. The rail sector has been expanded according to them. There's going to be a rail line from Takrady to Paga. That's one. Agric, we are going to see growing for food and jobs, which is similar to what Achampon did, Operation Feed Yourself. You do not think these are sound policies for the
there's a world of difference between declaration of intent and implementation of those ideas. We've had even more grandiose promises than that. If you remember, before 2001, the NPP promised the people of this country that they were going to build railway lines all the way to the north. And in 8 years, they could not do anything about it. So merely making a declaration that you're going to build a railway line does not mean anything at all, because you have a history. You have a history of having made that promise, and in 8 long years, you never did anything about it. So the people of Ghana should actually be rather very cautious about these promises that are being made, because speaking about it and doing it are two separate realities.
Your party was rejected barely a month or two ago for failing to deliver on the promises you gave to Ghanaians. You clearly also have a very poor track record, a poor history that you have as far as governance is concerned. 8 years, there's so many promises that you made, you didn't deliver on any of them. Why do you have the moral high ground to challenge a government led by NPP?
I don't understand what you mean by we did not deliver on any of our promises.
For instance, you said you're going to build 200 senior high schools.
And we had beginning at this stage and in different phases of completion 123 out of the 200. That's massive.
It's not the same as completion.
No, but hold on. There's a difference between doing 123 or at least putting them into different phases out of 200 and promising to build a railway line to the north, and yet you don't have 1 millimeter of railway line. That is not even about even starting and not completing. You absolutely abdicated your promise, and there's a completely different. No, we are basing it on their history. We are talking about a history of people who made promise, and at the end of the day, deliver nothing. So for you to come and tell us that I'm going to do this, and therefore we want to take you and believe everything you say, no, we are basing your history. Your history tells us that you make promises that are grandiose, you are not able to deliver. And I've already just mentioned they've already started breaking promises. You make a major promise about energy sector levy, and you obviously run away from it the very first opportunity, and you in the media might want to seek justification. No, you don't justify it, because this is absolutely unacceptable and inexcusable. If you want to build a sacred body politic in this country, we need to have the capacity to make sure our promises are honored. We made promises of 200 secondary school, and as you rightly said, even though financial difficulties were there, we at least made sure we put at least 123 into different phases of implementation. That is a government that is serious about it. In the very first budget, we indicated exactly what is that we were doing about those 200 secondary school. You say we haven't honored our promises. How will you not have honored our promises? We have the most unprecedented investment in physical infrastructure that this country has ever seen. That actually is the greatest commitment you can make to a country. All over the length and breadth of Ghana, wherever you go, the demand and the clarion call has to do with investment in facilities, clinics, water, electricity, roads. Those are the demands, and those are the things we were committed to. You listen to the budget carefully, you see that even the talk about infrastructure, you hardly hear anything much. Road infrastructure, hardly very little was said about that. Energy infrastructure, hardly very little. School infrastructure, and that takes me to the next difficulty I see. Because you see, I see a lot more movement away from what you call investment into consumables. When, for example, you say you want to use ABFA to pay school fees, ABFA, which hitherto had been dedicated to investment that will bring about growth for the country, you use it to pay school fees, that absolutely is a problem. Because school fees are not exactly the same as economic infrastructure that will bring transformation of your country. More so when many parents have the means of paying some of that school fees. You want to let them not pay and use that money. Come on, you have to think about that again.
Absolutely. You very much. The Honorable Ketu South Member of Parliament, Fifi Fiavi Kwete, who was immediate past Minister for Transport under the S.W. Mahama administration. He has served previously as Minister for Agriculture, also served as a Deputy Minister for Finance. So you just heard there the Deputy Finance Minister under the Mills government. He served also as Minister for Agriculture and Minister for Transport, Fifi Fiavi Kwete. We are still getting reactions to the budget that has been presented by the Honorable Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. They have described it as a simple message of truth, that budget that was presented. But the minority said it's 419. Let's get some reaction from the majority side now. The Honorable Fuseni Issa is the Okaikwe North Member of Parliament on the ticket of the NPP. He's also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. You're welcome to Politicos.
Thank you.
The budget that you presented, that you dubbed Asempa, has been tagged 419 by the minority. How do you respond?
Well, I don't know what they mean by 419 budget. Like we said, this is an Asempa budget, a proverbial story in the Bible where Jesus fed the multiple, just 5 loaves and 2 fishes. It's what we are trying to do as a nation. This is a nation that has been on decline, and the facts are there for everybody to see.
When Jesus was feeding the 5,000 people in the Bible, he fed each and every one of them. You want to feed all free payment at senior high school, and you want to start with this new entrance. That is not even, that is not as fair as Jesus did. That must definitely not be truth.
What we are trying to say is that when this country grows, everybody's going to have his or her fair share of the growth. Right, it's an opportunity for jobs to be created, it's an opportunity for people to earn income, it's an opportunity for people to improve upon their standard of living. That's what we made. So everybody's going to have his or her fair share. This is a nation in decline. In fact, last year we grew by 3.6%.
But you are not being truthful to Ghanaians. They think what you are doing amounts to deception. You said you were going to provide free SHS. People jumped onto the train and voted for you. You are not changing the tune and telling us that you're going to only start with first years.
No, we're not changing the tune. You know, even when laws are made, there's no retrospective effect. We're looking, it's a forward-looking thing. We're starting from those who are going to be admitted this year. And we've done the calculations. We know that this year is going to cost us in the ranges of 400 million to do that. We know next year is going to cost us about $800 million to do that. So we have costed everything. And we have just come into government. Within 3 months, we couldn't put everything together. We're saying that, look, we have a 4-year mandate. And within the 4 years, all the promises we gave to Ghanaians are going to come to fruition.
Would you
Remember,
go back?
we have a 4-year mandate and not a 3-month mandate.
Would you go back to the old lady at Abeka La Paz who voted for you and your member of and your president because she has a ward at the secondary school level in Form 1 and she wanted free SHS? Would you go back to her and apologize and explain to her that her ward is not going to be positively affected by this free SHS policy you're rolling out?
What I'm going to tell the old lady is that we have a 4-year mandate. And within the 4 years, everything that we have said in our manifesto, we are going to accomplish.
She's not going to benefit. Her ward is not going to benefit.
And then the other bit is that we are going to explain to her that, look, we are a nation in decline. From where the reins of government that we are taking off, it's a country which is growing at what? 3.6%. And we are targeting a growth rate of over 6% for this year. A nation that is suffering a deficit in excess of 10% if we include accruals. A nation that has debt to GDP ratio of over 70%, which is unsustainable. So this is the conditions we are meeting. And in all those difficult situations, we say we are starting free SHS with those who are going to be admitted in the new academic year. In the ensuing years, we are going to ensure that those who start this year, by the time we leave office, SHS will be free. And in fact, there will be one badger had entered whilst we are in office and even completed SHS.
Another point of departure is the energy sector levies that you touted or you trumpeted about and said you were going to abolish when you come into office. You have beautifully dodged them and you have gone into reduction rather than abolish.
The truth is that we said we're going to abolish it, and in reducing it, we are on the path of abolishing it.
Abolishing it?
No, abolition doesn't mean a one-stop. We come into government, we just that is not what we say.
You abolish
we still have a 4-year mandate.
On spare parts.
Sanda,
That's
remember,
abolishment.
Sanda, remember we still have a 4-year mandate. And we have shown goodwill to Ghanaians, showing that, look, for a levy that we said we're going to abolish, we have started by reducing it. Gradually, we will be on decline. By the 3rd year, 4th year, this levy is going to go on.
I have a list of 7 other, levies that you have abolished. Why didn't you do them gradually? Why did you single out the SLA?
Look, in doing a budget, we look at the pros and cons. Remember, this is a country and this is an economy where the previous government, what did they do? They even taxed condoms at one stage. They taxed cutlasses when they realized that those policies were bad and that the net effect was nothing that was benefiting the economy. They redo all those tax policies. We have reviewed it. We know where to start. By abolishing the taxes on financial services, the VAT on real estate and all that, we are creating an enabling environment for businesses to flourish. Once those businesses are flourishing, they will grow. When they grow, they create jobs. And when people are the jobs are created and people are getting income and the standards are going up, we'll look at other spheres and see where else we could free excess cash for more investment. If this country
so you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, essentially?
No, essentially, no. What we are saying, we are creating an enabling environment for businesses to be sustained and grow. And that is very important. So we looked at taxes that directly affect businesses. So they free cash for reinvestment, and once they invest in their businesses, it's the only way businesses can grow. And it's very important that we do that, and by doing that, we can create more jobs down the line, like we promised Ghanaians.
Very well, thank you very much. There's the Honorable Fusaini Issa. He's the NPP Member of Parliament for Okaikwe North. He's also a member of the Finance Committee, reacting there to the budget presented by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. But that's how we end the first episode of Politicos for the year 2017. You've been listening to actions and reactions as far as the 2017 budget presented by the President Akufo-Addo government through the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is concerned. Those are the views that they have shared. What are your own views? Drop them in the comment section below the video that you are watching. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. Join us again next week for an exciting edition of Politicos on Citi TV.